Normally he would be in here with me right now, but he's out on a walk.
Hmm.
Um, we got him a little over 2 years ago now.
All right, so here we go. Today we have Ray Hawthorne joining us. Thank you, Ray, for joining us. And how's everything going for you?
I'm doing great, man. It's a nice sunny afternoon where I am, so good day.
Good stuff.
Yeah, always loving the sunny days. But yeah, let's get to know you. Like, where are you joining us from? Like, time doing music and everything. Just the basics of Red.
So I'm in Burbank, California, which is just basically LA. It's right outside of Hollywood. I'm from New Jersey originally. That's where I grew up, and I've been doing music for fucking feels like my whole life. But more realistically, probably since I was like 13 years old. I started out just like taking guitar lessons and really fell in love with it from there. So I kept going, and here I am, many years later.
This may be a little bit hard to answer because I feel as creatives, we don't really have hobbies.
Yeah.
Like outside of like our craft and everything. Do you have any like hobbies or hobbies outside of music to kind of take a break?
Oh, for sure. As far as like taking a break, something that helps me, I run a lot. The last 2 years, I've run the LA Marathon. I ran 6 miles today before we got on here. And I think for me, it's like a good way to just like clear my head. Like I just sort of like hit the road and I mean, I'm listening to music the whole time, but it's not my music. You know what I mean? I
Mhm.
guess sometimes it's mine if I'm like going through mixes and stuff and trying to listen back to a song to see if it's something I like or something. I'll put something on while I'm on the run, but otherwise it's just a good way to like clear my head. I collect a lot of crazy shit too. That's another hobby of mine, I guess. You know? So yeah, basically those two things for the most part.
No, your background is one of the better ones that we've had. We appreciate it.
Mhm.
Hey man, it's just the office, you know.
Right.
This is the only place I can put all my Ninja Turtle shit. So it's where it is.
I love it.
That's amazing. What's your favorite piece that you own?
That's hard.
Or maybe
For the
like a group?
yeah, for the super nerds out there, I have like the original release Softhead Fan Club Ninja Turtles Unpunched. That's a lot of like weird words that sounds weird, but if you know what I'm talking about, it's a big deal. It's very valuable Ninja Turtles. So I've got all four of those original release Softhead Fan Club. Yeah, that's probably my favorite thing that I have, I guess.
Yeah, they're your
But it's
babies.
hard to pick. I mean, I got so much stuff, you know.
Right.
That's amazing. Because I love like collecting things as well too. Like growing up, I collected a lot of like football cards and stuff, and
Yeah,
I love getting like specific like that.
yeah.
Jumping to your tattoos.
Okay.
Do you have any recent additions? Kind of like what are your favorites, stories behind certain ones, etc.
I don't think I've gotten one in probably 5 years or so. The last one I got, it's like a Polaroid of like I don't even think you can see it. It's like a Jaws thing back here, kind of. Jaws is my favorite movie. So, I mean, most of them are just music related. You know, I got a lot of like song, not a lot, but I got song lyrics from songs that I like. I've got like a cassette tape. I've got a microphone, stuff like that. You know, it's just music related stuff. Nothing too crazy. It's funny. I keep thinking about getting new ones. I want to get a new one. I want to get one of my dog, but I can't decide what to do in particular. You know,
Right.
but I'm working on that. Yeah, that's about it. I've got like one across my collarbone, one down my ribs, and then most of them are just on my left arm, though.
I love those tattoos, and we always like to ask guests that just because like tattoos have like such cool stories and like different designs and like styles and everything, and we're always so interested.
I wish mine had cooler stories, but like they're really just like cliche music tattoos. You know what I mean? It's not even. I don't even think there's really anything cool about them. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I've got one that's the same one as my mom. We got them on the same day.
Oh,
It's like a little music note thing right here that she designed it and she got it, and I was like, oh, I'll get it too.
Right.
So that one has a story, but otherwise it's that's pretty
yeah.
much all it is. All the rest of them are
Yeah.
just like songs I like and shit.
Right.
Yeah.
I think I saw you posted about this, Ray. You said something about your dog there a second ago.
Yeah.
What's that story?
Yeah, so his name's Oliver. Normally he would be in here with me right now, but he's out on a walk.
Hmm.
We got him a little over 2 years ago now. He's a rescue from, I think, Mexico City. So he had a hard couple months when he was born, but, we do our best to give him the best love,
Right.
And yeah, he's awesome. Like I spend as much time as I can with my dog. Like I know it's cliche, but like that is my best friend. You know what I mean? I'm just hanging out with my dog all the time. Every time I record anything, because I just record in the room over here for the most part, vocals. He's just in there with me, like laying on my feet. So he's the first person to hear any of my songs every time.
Oh, that's amazing. That's a really cute story.
Yeah, he's the best. He's super scared of strangers though, and like if anyone comes to the
Oh.
house. So even I know we connected through because you guys talked to Bren.
Hmm.
Bren was out in
Mm.
LA a couple weeks ago, and he came by the house, and I was just like, "Hey man, by the way, like my dog's gonna try to fucking kill you, so just like be cool, And he was super, he was super chill. He was super good with him, and everything was fine. I just gave him like a bag of treats, and I was like, just move slow, don't look him in the eye. He'll be fine. He's the sweetest dog, I swear. But he just,
Yeah.
he doesn't like people coming in the house.
Right. It's fair.
Yeah.
Overprotective.
Yeah,
My
exactly.
sister's dog is the same way. She just got a rescue pit bull as well, and she's scared of people as well. That's really cool that your dog comes up and like supports you and like jams out with you and stuff when you're developing music.
Absolutely,
Uh,
absolutely. He pretty much never leaves my side. He's the best.
Going back to the music that you're listening to, because you said that you listen to a lot of music while you run and everything. What's on your playlist? What's in your rotation?
Oh, a ton of stuff. Mostly just because like I'm running, most days of the week. So today it was Glassjaw. I don't know if you guys listen to Glassjaw. So I was listening to Worship and Tribute by Glassjaw. It was just like one of those kind of days. I listen to a lot of Every Time I Die. It's good running music, and I feel like most of their music is very, very solid. I can't even really think of an Every Time I Die song I don't like. Listen to a lot of this band Bill Murray. I don't know if you guys know Bill Murray. It's not the actor. It's like more of like a it's spelled different. It's like they do like pop country kind of stuff with breakdowns, like kind of hardcore. Like absolutely love them. They're the best. Pretty much whatever I can get my hands on. I've got different playlists basically. So one of them's just like one of them will be all hip hop stuff, and it'll be like heavier hip hop stuff. So like heavier like Denzel Curry songs and stuff like that. Like I love that kind of shit.
Mm-hmm.
My like general marathon playlist is just a lot of like emo like scene type shit. Like that's I can't escape it. Like it's I've always loved it, so I'm not gonna stop now. I'm not gonna sell out on it now.
Right. It's in your blood.
Yeah, exactly.
Is there anything that's kind of off genre that you listen to, like unrelated to the
Uh,
music that you make?
yeah, I think I listen to a ton that's not anything like what I make. I listen to a lot of like folk stuff. I really like this guy John Moreland. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. It's basically just like him and an acoustic guitar, and he sings like crazy folk stuff. Amazing lyricist, one of the great American songwriters as far as I'm concerned. I do like a lot of like pop country stuff too. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
I dig me some Morgan Wallen. Like I fucking listen to that guy. I don't care. I can't really think of a genre that I don't like. There's plenty of music in the world that I don't like, but as far as like a genre goes, I'm sure there's something inside the genre that like I can find that I dig.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I try to be like as eclectic as possible with what I'm listening to.
I know. I'm
Just
sure.
depends on like the moment, the mood.
Yeah. No, that's a good thing for sure. I'm sure it influences your music in some way
Oh,
every
absolutely,
time. Yeah.
absolutely, yeah.
So now, again, you kind of alluded to this question earlier. So kind of getting into how you were introduced to music. You mentioned that you've been doing it since you were 13. Can we kind of hear the story about what happened when you were that
Oh
young?
yeah, yeah. I love this story. I went to go see School of Rock, the Jack Black movie.
Mm-hmm.
I was like fascinated by it. Like I saw the kid in School of Rock playing guitar, and he was just this like really quiet, nerdy kind of kid. And I don't think I was ever quiet, but I was definitely very nerdy, and it was like really relatable to me, and I was just like, wow, he seems so cool. Like I want to be cool. I think pretty much anything I'm doing now is just a desperate attempt at being cool. It's it's never gonna work, but I'm trying. I saw that movie, and I was like, I want to play guitar. My uncle had maybe 3 or 4 months beforehand started taking guitar lessons with this guy named Gino White, and he was like, hey, if you ever want to take guitar lessons, let me know, I'll get you in touch with him. It was just kind of like a happy coincidence that a few months later I was like, you know what, I do want to take guitar lessons. And started there, started playing guitar, and it was like hard, and I didn't fucking practice for like a year. Like, it was so hard to learn initially, you know, and eventually, I don't know what happened, but one day it all clicked and I just couldn't put it down, you know. I just started playing constantly, and I was playing all the time and just kept going, you know. And then Gino, the guy who taught me how to play, like really encouraged me to keep writing music. You know, I had showed him these like really shitty songs that I wrote about like some girl that I had a crush on in like the 8th grade. You know what I mean? And it wasn't even, I think a lot of them didn't even have lyrics at first. Like, it was just like weird guitar stuff. Like, I was just recording like 60-second guitar clips on fucking like Windows audio recorder, and it like you couldn't do more than 60 seconds at a time. So I would put my amp up to the computer microphone and just record it there. It's little 60-second clips. I think I just wanted to like impress that girl, you know, like, oh look, I can play guitar, you know. And I did a bunch of those. And I showed it to him, and he was like, oh, these are actually kind of cool. Like, these are cool riffs, you know. Maybe like within the year I had brought in a song that I actually like acoustic guitar, and like I wrote lyrics and I like played it for him. And he was like, that's a great song. I think it's awesome. If it's okay with you, I want to cover it with my band. You know what I mean? Like crazy shit like that. And it was not a good song. Like, he was just gassing me up. You need encouragement like that in life. So he totally put me on the path and gave me a lot of tools to succeed as far as just like believing in myself and stuff. Because yeah, I look back on the early stuff that I did. I mean, shit, I look back on stuff I've done this year and I'm like, it's not that good. You know what I mean? So it's like, I look back on it, and it's just good to have people in your corner, you know, that believe in you.
He sounds really important in your
music
journey, for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Did the girl ever hear it?
Oh, hell yeah, she did. Hell yeah.
What'd she think?
Yeah, what was the outcome of that?
Nothing ever happened. I mean, we were like good friends, and I think I didn't have the balls to like even try anything, you know what I mean? So I'm like, oh, look at this, I made this CD, like I burned it onto a CD and I like printed out fucking cover art and I put it on there and I gave it to her, and she's like, oh yeah, this is awesome. And I just played it like it was a joke, you know?
Right.
So I don't know, if I had more confidence back then, maybe I could have made something happen, but I just kind of let it lie. Like, maybe she was waiting for me to make another move, I don't know, or she just completely was not interested. It didn't pan out.
That's funny. That's a good story.
That was very wholesome.
Yeah, that's good. I've never told that one, so that's an exclusive right here.
There we go.
Oh hell yeah!
We'll make a short of that. Yeah. So, on top of guitar, when did you start like singing and realize I have the voice to do vocals?
I mean, it's kind of weird because when I was really young, like 1st grade, I was in like the school choir. That doesn't mean that you're a good singer by any means, but then like, they like put together in the school choir like 6 people that were like the quote unquote best singers in the school choir, you know? And it was me and 5 girls, and I remember being so like weirded out by that. I was just like, oh my god, what? Like, you know, you're 8 years old or whatever. It's like, why are they grouping me in with the girls? Like, gross, you know?
Right.
And I was so weirded out by that. And so they would have me do like solos and stuff and duets and stuff with the school choir. But I totally stopped. I don't know why. I completely stopped. I didn't do the choir like into the next year or anything. I really couldn't sing at all. Like, once I hit puberty and all that, like I was the shittiest singer. Like, I don't think I'm that great of a singer right now, but I mean, I was like really bad back then, you know? And I think I just started playing guitar and I was learning songs, and I wanted to be able to like perform them on my own. All the songs you learn like when you first start playing, like Dust in the Wind and shit, you know what I mean? Those kind of classic rock songs. And I would just like, me and my acoustic guitar, and I would just like sing them to myself. And I think over a period of time, I just sort of like learned how to get in and out of key. And interesting, like, it was hard at first to be able to play guitar and sing at the same time, because like you'd be doing a different rhythm with your hands than you were like vocally, and that was like a weird thing to wrap my head around. Yeah, it's just all self-taught, I guess, for the most part. I'd probably do good to get some vocal lessons at some point, but you know, I'll just keep destroying my voice until I can't sing anymore. I think that's my plan.
Right. Well, that was going to be my next question, was if you've ever had any formal lessons at all.
No, I guess outside of that, like when I was in choir in like the fucking 1st grade, no, you know, like so I couldn't even tell you anything from there. But there are some days I think I've gotten better about it, where it actually took me a while to learn how to scream in a way that didn't hurt me, because I used to do a lot of like hardcore, post-hardcore stuff, a lot of screaming, and it would just fuck my throat up for like days, you know. And if you listen to anyone who screams, they would say, they're always like, if it hurts, you're doing it wrong, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So over time, like I learned how to do that in a way that doesn't like destroy my voice as much, and I don't destroy my voice nearly as much anymore. So I think I'm doing something right when singing comes, but it's just, that's what it is. And I mean, I'm recording and singing, you know, most days out of the week, so
Mm-hmm.
I do my best to keep my voice okay. But at the end of the day, no, I have no idea what I'm doing at all.
Right.
Yeah, I was just about to ask, do you have like any routines that you do before like
No.
performing and singing and everything?
No, no.
Okay. Yeah.
Everyone always tells me like, oh, you got to warm up, you got to, you know, you got to do
Yeah.
this, you got to sing your major scale, and then they do like like shit like that. Like I don't, I don't do it. You know, like I don't know
Yeah.
what, I don't know the point. Like I used to, there was years ago, I used to teach music, and I would
Mm,
teach like guitar lessons, piano, like a bunch of stuff, but also I was doing a very good amount of preschool music classes. And basically what that
mm,
is like you just get like 30 kids in a preschool, like in a room, and you do like a general like group music class. You know what I mean? We've probably all been to one like that, and you sing songs and you do like weird rhythm stuff. And it used to be like a 2-person thing. And the one morning, like me and the girl are driving to teach the class, and she's doing like vocal warm up. She's doing that like shit like that. And I just
mm,
turned to her and I was like, what are you doing? And she's like, I'm warming. And she's looking at me like I'm the dumbass. Like she was like, I'm warming
mm,
up my voice. Like you don't warm up your voice. And I was like, nah, no. Like I don't know I don't know what's happening. No, I've got I don't know what to do at
mm.
all. You know?
That's amazing.
We've heard out of all the artists that we've talked to, they all have different theories on warming up, you know,
Yeah.
how they were taught to
Mm,
sing. We've heard it all. Trust me, you're not alone.
I'm
mm.
sure, you know. Like, you know, one time I was watching like an old Linkin Park DVD, and Chester from Linkin Park. They were asking Chester from Linkin Park like what he does, and he was like, "I do everything wrong and everything that you're not supposed to do. Like, I have no idea what I'm doing." And I think that just like encouraged me more. I was just like, "Yeah, you know what? Whatever, fuck it. Like, I'll
Right.
just destroy my voice. What does it matter? You know."
No, he's a good role model. He's a good singer. So
Yeah, exactly,
yeah,
exactly.
you just be like him. You mentioned you play the piano too.
Yeah.
What instruments can you all play?
So as far as like instruments that I would consider myself like good at playing, is I can do like guitar, bass, piano, and drums if I warm up some. So basically just like regular rock band stuff. There was a minute there where I was like really trying to learn how to play the violin, but I just cannot do it. Like I can't. I don't know if you've ever tried to play a violin, but like when I run the bow across it, it just sounds terrible. I can't get the bow to run smooth for whatever reason. It just sounds like it's scratching and all this shit. I just can't do it. So I guess just like basic rock band stuff, you know?
Hmm. I got you. And that dives into the next question. When it comes to producing the music that you make now,
Yeah.
what do you start with? Do you start with the instrumentals, and do you do them yourself, or do you start with the lyrics first?
So it totally depends. I keep like a notepad on my phone of like lyric ideas, and if I'm like feeling a certain way or whatever, if I think of a line that I think could be cool, like I put that in my phone. But that doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to like make it into a song. And then as far as when I actually start writing and recording, like I need there to be some kind of instrumental there. And like sometimes I work up the instrumental myself. I basically don't anymore. You know what I mean? Like on the album I have coming up, there's one song on it where I played all the instruments. At this point, I'm putting out one song every week, and I just don't have the bandwidth to also be able to be doing all the instruments to do that. And so luckily online, like I use like 3 or 4 different music producers that'll just basically like send me tracks. You know what I mean? Or I'll look for tracks online or whatever. But at this point, they'll send me tracks. I'll go through, let's say it's like, I don't know, let's say I have like 20 tracks in my email. And I'll scroll through until I find one that I really like and that I really dig. And then I'll see if I have any like melody ideas or lyric ideas or anything like that, and just build from there. And I think it helps me a lot too, because I mean, I've been making music my whole life. And one of the things I've always struggled with, and I feel like a lot of musicians struggle with, is like, how do you know what you're making is good in any, like, is it good, or is it just some shit that you did? Because there's a difference, because you're like so personally connected to it. At least I know if I'm working with other music producers, like I can be completely objective about the instrumental and just be like, yes, I do like this, not because I made it or whatever. So like I feel good in knowing that like at least the instrumental is something that I know for a fact that I enjoy. Like it's not something that's like limited by my creativity, or just something that I made that I'm really connected to, but other people might not like. So that feels good. You know, I just try to be as objective as possible once I start putting vocals on it, but that's still a struggle too, you know, because you're connected to it. So I think that helps.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, most of the time I have lyric ideas, but I just try to go through instrumentals and see what clicks.
Right.
And you never know. It's like sometimes you write something that you think is going to be awesome, and then you go in and start recording it and it just sucks. You know, you spend 2 hours on it and you're just like, I'm not doing this track justice at all. And you just have to like be able to know when to call it quits. Like I said, I put out one song every week. That doesn't mean I record one song every week. I'm probably recording, you know, I'm writing, recording 5, maybe 10. And then I just put out like the ones that I think are good enough. So you never know.
Right. Absolutely. Again, this kind of dives into another question that we had here. I was going to ask if you do most of your music in-house all yourself, but it sounds like you have a bit of a network of people
A
that
little bit,
send you
yeah,
stuff.
exactly, yeah. But as far as like the vocals, for the most part, I just record them in the room over here. It's actually, there's an extra bathroom in this house that no one uses, and I just completely put up acoustic foam all in there. Like the whole thing is like you can't even use it as a bathroom anymore. It's like it's acoustic foam up. I fucking built out of plywood and 2x4 like a desk to put over top of the sink where I put all the materials in. Like it is just a vocal booth at this point, and I record pretty much everything in there. And then I do the mixes and masters myself, like to the best of my ability, just because it would cost so much money. Like when I'm putting out a song every week, like it would cost so much money to get everything professionally mixed and mastered, and I just wouldn't have the money for it. So even like I listen back to the songs I did earlier this year, and I'm just like, oh, like I would mix that differently, or I would do this differently. I'd like to think that as the year has gone on, like the mixes and masters have gotten better.
Mm-hmm.
I would hope, but who knows?
Right. So correct me if I'm wrong, but on your solo project that you have going on, you just started releasing music this year, right?
Yeah. The first track was January 31st, and then I followed up 2 weeks later with like a handful of tracks on an EP. For like a month or so, month and a half, I was doing every 2 weeks, and then I saw that for whatever reason, people were listening to the music and they really liked it. And I was like, well, what would it do if I started releasing every week then? Would that help me or hurt me? And it just seemed like it only helped. Like the numbers kept going up, the listeners kept coming in, and the streams kept going up. So I just kept on every week throughout the whole rest of the year. I'm more surprised than anyone that people give a shit about any of the music that I'm putting out. When people listen to it, when people send me messages or put comments on my posts or anything, like talking about their own personal experience with the songs or what they mean to them or how much they listen to them, it kind of blows my mind. Because again, like I've been making music since I was 13 years old, back when it was just like my friend Christy and my mom were like the only people listening to it. You know, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
It feels good to have people actually give a shit. To this day, I don't know why. I don't know what changed, but you know, here we are.
Right. No, I mean, it must be a great feeling knowing that you really just started with your solo project this year. And Spotify, last time I checked, you have like 80,000 monthly listeners. That's impressive.
Thanks, man. Like, yeah, it like I said, no one's more surprised than me. It totally blows my mind, and it does feel good. It's a very like validating feeling that people care. And it's weird. I remember because I was in a band. I guess I'm still in a band, but there was a band before this that I was putting out music in that did pretty well. That was a lot of fun. That I learned a lot from on how to release music and how to get people to care. Right when I was gearing up to release it, my solo stuff, I was so stressed, and I was like, no one's going to care. No one's going to give a shit. Like the music that I'm doing now is so different from the band that I was just putting out music from before. So I was like, anyone who cares about who I am only cares about that band. And this is such a different thing. Like, why would they even care about these songs? And I was so stressed. Luckily, for whatever reason, people did like it, and I started to bring new people in. And now I'm just stressed for a different reason. Like now I'm just stressed that people are going to stop listening, or like I can't maintain it. It's like the monthly listeners and the streams. It's like I'm constantly trying to grow it, or at least maintain. Like if it goes up, like I want it to stay up. So it's just stressful on a different level at this point. So it's just, I guess it's just all stress, no matter what, whether it's going good or whether it's going bad. I'm just going to be fucking stressed out about it.
Right. No, it shows you care. I mean, there's definitely
there's
definitely a science behind it. Me and Caleb with social media, there's a science behind that too that we're always trying to figure out as well. Trying to figure out the algorithm and figure out what it wants.
Yeah, and I mean, on some level, I mean, that's why the algorithm, quote unquote, of Spotify is the reason that I'm doing weekly releases. Because it's like every week, like something like 70% of my streams just come from Spotify pushing my music out to people themselves. You can check on the back end, like all the data. So it's like they have their own, they've got Spotify Radio, Discover Weekly, all kinds of stuff like that. But also every week, every Friday, every listener on Spotify gets like a customized release radar playlist. If I release every week, then my songs are going to go into, people that care about my music's release radar playlist. And then the more times that happens, they also send it out to people that like have never heard me before, but probably might like my stuff for, whatever data that they have about listeners. And every week that grows. So it's like I'm almost scared to stop releasing every week, because it's just like, will I keep getting that algorithmic boost? I almost kind of want to get to a point where I feel like it can at least sustain itself for a while before I stop doing weekly releases. Well, it's all a game, and like it's all data driven. And I think one of the things that's different about what I'm doing now versus like all the music I've tried to make for my whole life is that I'm really trying to approach it with like a business mindset. What do people like? What is going to make my songs pop up on playlists? What's going to make people want to save my songs and stuff like that? And that's not to say that I'm writing music I don't enjoy. Like, I think if anyone listens to my stuff, it's like, it's very honest, and I'm like very open about like how I'm feeling and problems that I'm having and stuff like that. It's not like saturated down music for like a grander audience or anything, but I am trying to at least consider how can I present this to people in a way that they're going to digest it the best before I start doing like a really crazy experimental shit.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, like you said, it is a business. I mean, that's what me and Caleb are finding out too. We have to run it like a business to make sure anybody cares about it, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. Like I just think for me, it's like, if let's say you have one thing that works, like let's say I put out one song that worked really well. Like my mindset is like, how do I do that 10 more times? It's like you can have it work once. Like, let's say you guys make a video that goes viral or whatever you're doing on your social media. It's like, that's all well and good, but like, how do you replicate that? Like, how do you make it so it's not just a flash in the pan, And like, there's no answer to that. It's just like a mindset, that I'm trying at least.
Right. No, we're trying to. We get it. So again, you mentioned how you release music. You try to release it once a week. How many songs do you have like ready to go? Like, how big is your backlog at this point?
I'd have to look at the calendar. I do every Thursday now, which is also like a data driven thing. Originally I was doing every 8 days, so I hit every day of the week. I was like, it seems like Thursdays work best, and I am good until right now. I have everything uploaded until Thursday, December 5th. So I need the following 3 weeks of December, and then I'll the year will be done out. But I try to stay like at least a month ahead.
No, absolutely. It's smart.
It's not like there might be 2 weeks that go by where I'm like, everything I'm writing is shit. Like, I don't want to release any of this. Like, I do want to release every week, but I don't want to put out stuff that I don't think is good just to release it, So I like to have at least some lead time where, if I'm not writing, or just if I need like a mental break from writing, I can take that and then come back stronger,
Right.
Because that's the other thing that I didn't realize is like, I think I just started getting like increasingly honest in my songs, and it's like when you're doing that constantly all the time and you're just like really like leaving all that shit on the floor, like I'm constantly singing about like all the things that I don't like about myself and all the ways that I've like failed in life. And like when you do that for a year straight, it kind of like fucks with you. You know what I mean? Like it's like, it's very cathartic, but it really does put you in a weird mindset of this, like, whoa, I'm like not that good of a dude. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like not a good person. And so when you're constantly confronting that in yourself, it is weird. So sometimes I just need to like take a week off from writing just to like not think about that. You know, it's like my album coming out, it's called Ray Hawthorne Sucks. And like, yeah, that's funny, but it's also like very true to the point of the shit that I'm singing about on the album.
Right. No, for sure. But yeah, it's just impressive with how much music you've pumped out already.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, that's a lot of music in a year. And then we were also curious because when we talked to Bren, who we'll go to deeper in the interview, but we talked to him about the single versus album release kind of theory. What are your kind of thoughts on that?
Especially for up and coming artists, it's got to be singles. I think you have to be releasing singles. So even if like my album comes out in like 3 days from when we're doing this, pretty much the entire album is out. Like you can listen to basically the whole album right now. I think there's 2 songs on it that aren't out that are basically just like demos on the back end of the album. There's a couple reasons for that. It's like when you need to be in today's day and age, no one has time to listen to an album. They don't give a shit about your album, especially if they don't know who you are. They're going to listen to fucking Drake's album. You know what I mean? Like they're going to listen to like Olivia Rodrigo's album. They're going to listen to all these people's albums because they have a fan base. They have a big thing going on. But it's like, who the fuck is Ray Hawthorne? Why am I going to take 40 minutes out of my day to listen to his album? You know, it's like there's no point. Like at best you can hope that someone is going to listen to your single. And then at best you can hope that they like it enough that they think like, huh, maybe I'll listen to some more of this person's music. If you're just putting out albums like that, with the amount of work that goes into making just one song, you're going to lose potential listeners and you're going to lose potential streams. You're going to lose potential fans just from the fact that you put a song out as the 5th song on your album and no one made it 5 songs into your album. And if you had released that as a single, it's going to pop up on Spotify release radar, radio, or whatever, you know, all that kind of stuff. And Spotify is going to push that out. You put out an album, Spotify's not pushing out a whole album on their fucking playlist. They'll promote on your homepage. Like if you're a listener of me on Thursday when the album comes out, it'll be like, oh, Ray Hawthorne Sucks album is out. But they're not going to drop the whole album into release radar. They're not going to drop the whole album into Discover Weekly. So when you're trying to grow a fan base, it's got to be single. If you're like, no, an album is a piece of art, like let's say you're doing like a fucking concept album or something where it's just like I'm telling a story from the 1st song to the 10th song. That's all well and good. You know, we all got into this because we love art, right? I'm not like discouraging anyone from making art, but if you are going to do that, you have to make your best effort as an artist to treat each track on that album as a single. Make videos around each single. Promote each song, promote everything as if it's a single. Just do your best to not get shit lost in the album. I think the days of artists growing because they're releasing albums are like way behind us at this point. No one has attention spans. People don't even want to hear more than fucking 15 seconds of your song. You know what I mean? Like there's songs that I've heard that I know like a solid 15 seconds of, and I'm like, this is a banger, and I've never heard the whole thing because you just hear clips from it on like Reels or TikTok or whatever.
Like $1 Million Baby. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like the idea of putting out a whole album, I think it's just going to hurt artists. I will stand 10 toes down on that. And you know, like I think that's just how it is today. I don't like it, but that's how it is.
No, that's pretty much exactly what Bren said as well. He's smaller than what you are now, trying to grow.
Yeah, but man, listen, he is going to be so much bigger than I will ever be. That kid hustles like no other, man. Like that kid's hustle. When he was over like last week or whatever it was 2 weeks ago, I was like, listen, dude, if I had the hustle that you do at your age, I think I'd be doing 10 times better. Like he's going to be huge, trust. Like that's why I wanted him on a song, because I listened to his stuff and I was like, this is amazing. I think has a sound that's like reminiscent of what I'm doing, but what I'm doing I don't think is as modern as what he's doing. You know what I mean? I think he has so much more potential to take his sound and push it forward. You know, I think he has the potential to be someone like fucking Post Malone. You know what I mean? Or like MGK. Like I really do think he has potential to be that big. Just when you listen to what he does. And I think he's in that perfect situation of his music isn't so crazy and out there that you're just like, oh, what the fuck is this? I've never heard anything like this. But it's also not like cookie cutter cliche. Like generic pop punk, like mid-ass emo things like I'm doing. You know what I mean? Like he's pushing it like just far enough ahead that I think he's gonna blow up, man. I really do. I think he's awesome.
Mm-hmm. No, we agree. Even since we talked to him, gosh, probably 3-4 months ago now, we talked to him. He's even grown a lot since then. Yeah,
Oh yeah,
he's been killing
absolutely.
it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, again, one of the questions before we kind of dive into the network that you've kind of built around yourself, your single Flatline. Can you kind of tell us the story behind that and why you feel that one has been really successful for you?
Absolutely. That's actually a weird story, and it's good I talked about my my writing process before, because I was recording a completely different song that day, and it sucked. It was probably like an hour and a half, 2 hours into some song. I couldn't even tell you what it was. It never came out. Like, I was so excited about it, and then as I was recording it, I was like, this just sucks. Like, this song does not sound like I want it to. It's bullshit. And I almost just like stopped for the day, and I was like, I don't want to feel like I didn't get anything good down today. So I had heard the instrumental for what becomes Flatline like 5 hours earlier that day, and I was like, oh, I kind of like this. Like, this is cool. So I didn't have anything written at all, but I just didn't want to feel like I failed that day. So I pulled up Flatline and like lined it up and just recorded it line by line, just like whatever fucking came out of my mouth at the, like one sentence at a time, just whatever happened. Mm-hmm. And I think on some level, because I did that, it was so authentic, and it was so like whatever melody I felt like went best at the time is like just what flowed out of me, and like what lyrically, whatever I felt like I should do just flowed out of me. Like, it's got a very clear message. It's not like it's all over the place lyrically or anything. It's a very like themed song. Yeah, I think it just happened in a way where it really just kind of fell out of me. You know, like I think I wrote and recorded Flatline in like half an hour. Mm-hmm. I think it was just like line by line recording it. And I knew when I finished it, I was like, this is a really good song. I was like shocked playing it back. I was like, this is a really good song. Because there was another thing I had done. I remember once I got to the chorus, because again, I didn't have it written while I was recording it. So like I recorded the first verse and like the pre-chorus, just like, and I got to the section that was the chorus, and I was like, what am I going to do here? And normally, at least for me, like I try not to have choruses that are like too wordy or too fast, because that's not something that you can like really vibe to as a listener. And I was like, oh, fuck it, why not? Like I was just like really feeling this weird, this quick melody. And I had thought to myself, everyone loves like Misery Business. You know what I mean? Like, in Misery Business doesn't have some like not wordy chorus or anything like that. Not to say this song is anywhere near as good as Misery Business, but like just like a thought that I had while doing it, you know? Mm-hmm. And even since then, I've kind of tried to take that approach more. Like, there's been a few songs that I've come out with since Flatline that I was just like, well, what if I just go into the studio and I don't have anything written, and I just like really just feel it and really vibe it. There's definitely been a few songs that I've done that way, and a few times I've taken that approach that I think helped a lot, you know. Mm-hmm. Even like the song I have with Bren, I had that written before I started recording it, but it was like the chorus of that is very like, it's got like a quick section in it, quick lot of words and stuff. I wouldn't have done that if I hadn't done Flatline before. So I think it turned out well, and I'm constantly shocked at how well it's done, and that people like it, you know, because it's my best performing song by like a long shot, you know. I think it's got like double the streams as the second best song. So it's doing well. I'm happy about it.
Right, for sure. And again, it's kind of like you said earlier, you're just learning what the algorithm likes and trying to figure that out, and then trying to keep it going.
Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. And then even like for the album that's coming out, like I was just like, well, I'm going to make that the first song on the album, because clearly people like this song. So like, let's say for whatever reason, someone stumbles across my album that's never heard my shit before. Like, let's just kick the door down with a song that's going to make people want to hear more. Mm-hmm. So I'm just like tricking them into listening to the rest of my bullshit, you know?
I love it. What's the Flatline music video? What was like kind of the production, like process of the production, like creating and developing that music video looking like?
It was pretty intense. So basically, for the Flatline music video, I think I wanted people to watch it and finish it and just go like, what the fuck did I just watch? You know what I mean? What was that? Which I'm almost certain was probably your reaction if you watched it. Like, it was just like, what the fuck was that? Um, so the guy who's done my other two music videos, his name's Adam, and I was like, hey man, like I've got this album coming out and I want to do a music video for Flatline, because you could pick any other song and I could pick any other like new single that's coming out, but like why? Like I know people like Flatline, like let's just do it. Like even the YouTube video of the Flatline like fucking album art has like 70,000 views or something. You know what I mean? And so I'm just like, let's give the people a music video for it, you know? He was like, well, what do you want to do? And all I said was, I was just like, I just want to do some like punk Muppets. That was my whole direction. I was like, I just want to do some like punk Muppets. Like all my album art is very like Muppet oriented. I'm doing like, that's the brand, right? It's like, I feel like at this point, if you see my album art and you know who I am, you're like, oh, that's a new Ray song. You know what I mean? Like it's very like all on brand, right? So I was like, yeah, let's do this punk Muppets thing. And I told him what the song was about and everything, and he was just like, yeah. So he hit me back with this script of just like Muppets just like doing drugs and all this crazy shit. And I was like, hell yeah, like let's do it, man. Like let's make it happen. And it was intense because none of us had ever shot anything with puppets before. So it's like there's so much you have to do to shoot with puppets. And it was like a 3-day shoot. Like we did one day 4 or 5 hours all green screen stuff, so like the shit of me and like the Elmo costume, like that's just all on a green screen. And then we did a second day on an apartment set, which was the same set I used for another one of my music videos. We were doing like a callback to the Emergency music video, my first music video. We were even like, well, what if we do the Emergency music video again, like shot for shot, just with puppets? And like, I was like, that's actually a good idea, but we abandoned that. And we were just like, well, we'll just reference it. So second day we did like 5 hours, like all on set there. And then third day, we did like out and about around LA. So like there's a shot like in a graveyard, there's a shot at a bar, stuff like that. So we went and we did all that the third day. So it's the longest video shoot I've ever done, for sure, because everything else is normally just like typically just one day. I think we did 2 days on the Heartbreak video, but that's just because like again there was like green screen and on location stuff. But yeah, man, it's crazy. And like we had so much we want to do, and the song's only like 2 minutes long, so it's just like really frenetic, like really fast paced. And he was just like, even in the script it says, like in the beginning of the script, it's like, this video is going to be anything but subtle, it's just going to be fucking insane in your face the whole time. Yeah, I think we did that. So I'm very interested to see how people are going to react to it, because I just think it's probably not what people are expecting, so it's super crazy. What did you guys think?
It was good.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting like Muppets to be like doing drugs and everything, because that one scene of like them bumping it and everything, and I'm like, I thought it was so funny and unexpected, and it was so fun, so entertaining, and it went perfectly with like your brand and like the music video, like Flatline, like it was perfect for beat for beat.
I appreciate
Right.
that. Yeah.
No, we appreciate you sending that to us, but Sesame Street's ruined forever now.
That's the goal, man. I said this online, like I'm really just out here trying to get sued by Sesame Street. That's like the main goal,
Right.
That leads to the next question that we wanted to ask too. What's the story behind like the Muppets and like your cover art and everything? Like, where did you find that inspiration and started to do that?
Yeah, there's no story. I just really love the Muppets. Like
that's awesome.
I just think at the end of the day, when I started doing this project, I was like, I just really want to be like unapologetically myself, right? So I talked about that already with lyrics. Like I'm very like honest about how I'm feeling in the lyrics, and I'm just the fact that I'm doing like basically throwback music. Like this is just the shit I was listening to when I was a kid, But that's the kind of stuff that I like. So I'm just like, all right, well, what's the artwork going to be? It's like, you know what? I fucking love puppets, man. Like what? And no one's gonna stop me. Like I'm just gonna make all the album art puppets and shit,
Right.
So yeah, I think it's just me being like unapologetically myself, and then I think it works well, when you stay consistent. Like it's no different than like let's say next week on my Spotify I came out with like a fucking like a bluegrass country song. no one's gonna like that. Like they're gonna be like, that's not what we're listening to you for. You know what I mean? They're like, give me some more of that like mid ass pop punk. That's what they want from me. So it's like, it's a brand, right? So even down to keeping the album art consistent, I think is important. It's something that I never like would have thought about years ago, but it's like, yeah, like my album art stays the same. Like, you know who I am, you recognize the brand. You know, Coke cans aren't going to come out and start looking yellow. You know, like they're going to keep being red. You just got to keep the brand up.
Absolutely, it's a business. It's got to stay consistent.
Exactly.
Yes, yes. It's all about the public perception. But you were mentioning previously just how like you were changing with just what you were saying within your music and everything.
Yeah.
How do you feel that you have changed the most as an artist?
I think from the time I started writing music, so like from the time I was young until now, I really, for a very long time, when I first started out, was just sort of writing what I thought I should be writing, what I thought other people wanted to hear. So it was like, I'm like young and I'm writing these songs about like real heartbreak and shit, and like I'd never experienced that, you know, like it's not real. None of that was ever real for me. You know, then I got older, and I think a lot of people, when they're in their like late teens, early 20s, they start getting sort of like pretentious about music. So then I was just starting to do like, I was like, oh, I'm just going to do weird experimental shit. Like like some of the shit you can find that I've done before online is like so fucking out there and so fucking weird. And I think for this, what I'm doing now, I really just took stock of the fact that I was like, you know, any song I've ever loved or like really connected to, it comes from a place of like real vulnerability from the artist and like real honesty, like lyrics that you like. Because I've always been a lyric person, you know. There's plenty of music out there that's not like trying to say something, and that's fine. But for me, I've always just like really loved lyrics. Like if I hear a good lyric, I'm like, damn, that like it like impacts me, you know. I think I just thought to myself, I need to really give this a go and be as true to myself as possible, because that's the kind of music that I've always liked, you know. I just started talking about like real struggles that I've had, you know. I'm old enough now that it's like I've been through some shit. So it's like I talk about struggling with sobriety. I talk about just like feelings of failure and feeling like I should be somewhere that I'm not, and just try to be real about that, you know. And I think that that's what people connect to. You know, when I talk to people that listen to my music, when they reach out to me, so much of it revolves around like, you know, these songs are really helping me right now, or like I'm going through this or I'm going through that, and these songs are really helping me. And that feels good, you know, because like we all turn to music for stuff like that, or at least, you know, I always did. And so to be able to help people in that way feels good, you know.
Now diving into kind of the network you've built around yourself with music.
Yeah.
How'd you meet Bren? Can you tell us that story?
Bren reached out to me, actually. So just like I said earlier, like he's got a crazy hustle, you know. I think he heard Flatline, or he heard another song, something like that. I'm sure I could like go back into the DMs. He hit me up because he heard one of those songs, and I went and I looked at his page and I was like, oh, this kid's actually dope, you know. And so I just started messaging him, and I was like, yeah, man, like if you ever want to work, like let me know, because I thought his shit was so cool. And we just stayed in touch, and it was probably 4 or 5 months later, I sent him Shelter, and I was like, do you want to get on this? And again, the kid's hustle is crazy. Like I sent him Shelter, he sent me back the vocals like 4 hours later. That never happens. Like I have worked with so many people over the course of my career as a musician. No one has ever sent in vocals back 4 hours later. Like he totally just dropped whatever the fuck he was doing and like wrote the verse on Shelter. And I think his verse on Shelter is the best part of the song. Like I think he washes me on that song. You know what I mean? Like he's great on that shit. So he just sent that back like a couple hours later, you know? He wasn't even like, yo, what's the song about? Nothing. Like he was just like, all right, yeah, I got this. No problem. And just totally sent the shit back. It was great. Mm-hmm. It was absolutely great. So yeah, I just respect his hustle like no other.
Mm-hmm. He's a cool dude. And that song's in my head all the time. That's my favorite song by you, probably.
That's awesome. Thank you.
And it's also funny you say that. Bran actually reached out to us too. He just commented on one of our very first YouTube posts that we made. And I was like, I never heard of this kid before. And we looked him up and messaged him, and now we're here. So
Yeah, that's not surprising, man. He's
he's everywhere.
he's constantly reaching out to people and building a network. You know what I mean? You want to talk about someone with a network, it's him for sure.
Mm-hmm.
He's he's the master at that.
Mm-hmm. His Save the Underground group that he has going on is impressive.
Yeah, that was one of the initial, like after a couple of days talking to him, he was like, "Oh, yo, like I want to add you to this group. Let me know what you think." And then at that point I was actually like, "Fuck, like is this some scam, you know?" 'Cause there's a lot of like music stuff out there where people are like, "Oh yeah, I'll add you to this group and give me $5 and I'll get you 5,000 streams." Like, and it's all fake shit and bots and stuff. Like as soon as he said that, I was like, "Ah, fuck, like don't be putting me in some fake bot group, you know?" And then he added me to the thing, but it's all in the up and up. It's all legit. Like I was like, oh, this is just like a group chat of artists, you know, like which
Right.
is sick. Because that's also how I have a song with Caroline Riley. That's also how I met Caroline. Was just through that group, and
Mm-hmm.
she's fucking amazing. I've said this before. Like she's got the best vocal performance on my whole album. You know, like she's incredible. Totally met her through there too. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a cool thing he's doing.
Yeah. So we owe it to him. The next person that I wanted to ask about, someone else who's featured on your songs, Kellin Quinn. How did that come
Yeah.
about? Because he's obviously a huge figure in the rock
Oh
scene.
yeah. Yeah, he's super dope. The first song I ever dropped had Kellin on it. And obviously that's like a calculated move, right? Like I was just like, all right, well, if it's going to be my first solo song, like I want to know that people are going to listen to it, that it wasn't all just like a waste of time. So I decided to go forward with that one first, but I had recorded that probably like at least a year before it came out. Like if it came out, it came out January 31st this year, 2024. I recorded it at least January 2023. It could have been 2022. You know what I mean? And I was just like, I was like sitting on it forever because I didn't know, you know, I had the other band and we were working on an album and there was all this stuff and I didn't want to do like conflicting things. And basically what happened there was like, I had seen multiple places where he was popping up on features. And so I was like, he's got to be like receptive to do features, right? Like, so why not I'll just try to hit him up. Like we had the same publicist and I was like, I'm just going to send him the song. You know what I mean? Like, why not just send him the song and see if he'll get on it? Totally chill guy, totally great guy. He got on the song. He hit me back and he was like, dude, I love this track. And he got on it. And we did 2 songs together after that. So totally cool, dude. The thing I've never hung out with him in person. You know what I mean? I've never actually met him. I totally like any interaction we've had was completely online. It's not like we're bros or anything like that. Like I don't want to put that vibe out. He's been nothing but nice and nothing but a pleasure to work with. It was exciting to work with him, you know, just because, you know, I've listened to his shit forever. So it was cool.
Right. I didn't realize that was your first song you released too. That's crazy because I mean he's featured on so much music. I mean obviously Sleeping with Sirens is so successful.
Right.
I mean he's just such a figure in the industry.
Oh yeah, his voice is amazing. I wish I could hit the notes that dude's hitting. Like I just can't do it. But I think it works out well. Like for the song's called Emergency, the first song we came out with. I think it works well because there's a lot of parts where we harmonize and I'll do the low and he does the high. And like in like reviews that I've seen of the song and reviews that I've heard of the song, a lot of people comment on that. They're like, oh, their voices complement each other really well. So at least that works out. I wish I had the high voice though. I'm constantly writing shit that I can't actually hit. I'm constantly like, oh, I wish I could do this, or I wish I could hit this note and do that. Like my music would be so much better, but I can't. So, you know, it is what it is.
Right. Working with him, I feel like that's a good sign that you made it. I mean, that's sweet.
It did feel good. Yeah, it totally felt good. Yeah, like I was excited because like the song dropped and within like 10 minutes or something that night it had like 3 streams. And at the time I was like, oh, we're fucking out here. You know what I mean? Like people are listening to my music. So I was so fucking pumped to get like such a small amount of streams initially because I didn't promote it or anything. Like I just dropped it and then like that the next morning I was like, oh, this is out. So I just framed it like a surprise drop from me, you know? And then I was like, this is out. And then I've got EP coming out in 2 weeks and the music video came out and everything. I remember being so amped at like such a small amount of streams just because I was like, all right, yeah, we did it. Like we really made it, you know? And it's funny now it's like either like I got 2 songs with him, Emergency and Haunted. And the numbers on them are pretty good. I think they've both got at least 100,000 streams, maybe more, but none of them are even in my like top 5 on Spotify. Like that's when I really felt the best was like when I had a song. Initially, Emergency was like my biggest song because Kellin was on it. And then when I had a song that passed emergency, like on my Spotify, I was like, oh shit, no way. I figured if anything, people would only listen for Kellin and then just like never listen to me again, you know? So like, I've said this a million times, but like no one's more surprised than me. So
That's such a rewarding feeling to have, especially just releasing content as well. Yeah, that's like such a rewarding thing, and that's crazy how that all like happened, and just how the streams started and everything. Kind of wrapping up the interview with the last few questions. What does the future look like for you?
I just want to keep putting out songs as much as possible and try to get a tour together sometime next year. People are reaching out to me all the time about where I'm going to play live, when I'm going to play live, if I'll come play like fucking Germany and all that. Like I get a lot of people like trying to see me out in Europe. So I really, really want to put that together. And then I also really, on a somewhat related note, I really, really want to figure out how to get lower rates on international shipping for my vinyl because people keep trying to buy the vinyl international and they're like, it costs more than the cost of the vinyl to ship it out here. And I'm like, I'm doing my best. Like I don't know how these people are doing cheap shipping across the pond and all that, you know? So that's another future goal of mine is to try to figure out reasonable international shipping for my vinyl. That's about it. Yeah. Just keep putting out music and try to get it on the road.
Caleb, before
you can go.
You skipped a question of mine.
I was just about to ask that question. I realized that I accidentally forgot a question that we wanted to ask earlier. What has been your favorite like live performance and like memories performing wise? Yeah, and then what's your dream location to perform in?
I think my favorite. I just think back on like it's been a while honestly since I've played a show. Like it's like pre-pandemic was the last time I played a show. A lot of the shows that I remember playing were like still before anyone gave a shit about my music at all. I used to play all the time in LA on Sunset, like a lot of the time at the Whiskey A Go Go and the Roxy and stuff like that. Because at the Whiskey A Go Go, actually, I used to date the booking agent at the Whiskey A Go Go. So like if a band dropped out or whatever, like she would put me on whatever show, and that was sick. That's not why we dated, but like it was definitely a perk, you know. And it was totally sick. One time I was playing the Whiskey, and there was actually, for once, there was like a lot of fucking people there, like a whole ton of people there. And I'm playing it with this like, I'm in this like joke hip hop group at the time. Like that's the show that I was doing, which is like a whole other thing. I used to do a lot of like weird joke hip hop stuff, right? And it's like packed, it's super crowded, and we get to like my verse on one of our last songs. And I just totally fucking blank. I don't know the verse at all. I don't know what to do. And it's like one of the biggest shows we've ever played. I'm like wasted at the time too. Cause that's the other thing is like we used to just get wasted and play these shows. And I just like stood up there and looked at everyone and I was like, yo, I forgot my verse. It's all good though. Woogie woogie woo. Woogie woo. Like it was just like, it was the craziest shit. And then we moved on like nothing happened. But I feel like the girl who runs the Whiskey A Go Go, her name was Tiza. I feel like she was so pissed because like we came in last minute to the show, like yeah, we'll be good. Like we play all the time. We're totally good to go. Completely fucking forgot my verse and just kept going. I think she was so mad. I don't know why. But to me, like I look back on that, that's like a really good memory. You know what I mean? Like that's so fun to me. Like I like stuff like that. I like when we mess up, you know?
Right. Certainly memorable for sure. Even if it's not the best memory, but
yeah. That's fun stuff, you know? But yeah, I've played so many shows to like 2 people and shit, you know, and you're just out there like, oh my god, what am I doing right now? Why am I doing this shit? No one cares. But I do need to play more. Like my publicist is on my ass all the time about like, please play more, like play shows. When are you going to play? Like she is constantly asking me to play, and I'm like, I promise it's going to happen. I think for me, I just want to be in a place where I've got enough music out that I don't feel like I need to be doing the like weekly release thing anymore. And I can actually get to a point where I'm happy with a live show, because it takes so much time to get yourself happy with like a live show and get the practice in and get all that stuff before you ever step on the stage. And if I were to take the time to do that right now, it would take away from the time that I'm like writing and recording. And it's just hard to balance that. So while I've had, I've had like a pretty good handful of like show offers and places to play where I think people would be excited. I just haven't done it,
Another question, kind of based off of that. You mentioned it's been a while since you've performed, and with your old bands, is when you were performing. Can we kind of talk about your relationship with Shavo and kind of the North Kingsley
Yeah, of course.
project you had going on?
Of course. I guess North Kingsley started as a different project with me and my friend Sorrow. I used to work at the Apple store way back in the day, and I met this kid Sorrow, and he also did music, and we made a lot of stuff together. And we were recording in a studio in Studio City, California that Shavo happened to he was like friends with the owner of that studio, and he like came in during one of our sessions. And I was tripping because like I love System of a Down, you know what I mean? I was like, this is crazy. And Sarah was like, oh, like let's play him the stuff, and I'm like nervous, you know what I mean? I'm just like, this is fucking, I don't know, like what if he says it sucks? Because this is a very very different band than anything that I'm doing now. It's like a heavy hip hop kind of thing. We play the stuff for him, and he was like super into it. He's like, dude, this is awesome. Like, you guys could do something with this. Like you could tour it and people would come. I remember that quote specifically. Like you could tour it and people would come, and I was like, no way. Like that's insane. Because again, like, and I've we're me and Shavo are like real good friends. Like that dude is like family to me. You know what I mean? It's not like what I said with Kellin, where I was like, oh, I've never actually met Kellin. It's like I've been to fucking Shavo's house. You know what I mean? Like we kick it. I've told him, I've since talked to him about all this and how just like crazy at the time it was for me. Cause I was like, dude, I used to like watch you from like the other side of stadiums. You know what I mean? Like fucking nosebleed seats. I'd go see your bands like way in the back and shit like that. And so to go from there to like him like bringing me out, like I'm standing side stage for System of a Down. You know what I mean? Just like watching them play to like 40,000 people, 50,000 people. It's like, what the fuck? Like, how did this happen? So yeah, we met in that studio, and then we all like kept in contact. He wanted to learn how to use Logic, the music program, the Apple recording program, because that's what we were using at the time. That's what I still use, but like that's what we were using at the time. And he was like, "Oh, I want to make beats and stuff," because he always had like a hip hop interest. And we were like, "Yeah, man, like we'll come by your place and like teach you how to use it." But really we were just like trying to get a band going. It was a very like nefarious plot. Like we were just like, how do we get him in the band? And it was just years of that. Cause I think this was probably 2018. And by like 2019, maybe like mid 2019, we had it very solid. Like we were a band, like we had music recorded and all that. And that was just like, I was like, yo, man, like that's a moment where I really felt like I made it. I was like, this is crazy. Like that to me was the first time I was like, I'm going to put this music out and people are going to fucking listen to it. Like I never had that feeling before that time. We had everything lined up to release. We had so much shit lined up for release and shows and all that stuff, and it was like our drop date was supposed to be like April 2020. So it was like it was the worst, man, because we pushed it back like a million times because of COVID. And I think we ended up dropping August 2020. And that was still awesome. Like people still listen to it, but it was just it was like the worst feeling of like I had put years into this project, and we had like these shows and all this stuff lined up, and it was like you're never gonna predict that the world is gonna fucking shut down. You know what I mean? Like you can plan for everything, but you never think like, oh, what's gonna happen is actually like everything you want to do, like you can't do.
Right.
We kind of struggled through that, and then really kept delaying and pushed the project back and released in, like I said, I think August. And then I think like 6 months after that, we released again. And it was really cool, man. Like it was a cool moment. So as of right now, we have a full length recorded, and I'm not sure when we're going to drop it. But that's also why it took me a little bit to start putting out the solo stuff. Like when I said I had that song with Kellin for like at least a year beforehand, that's because like we're in the midst of like finalizing the North Kingsley album and figuring out what to do with that. So I didn't want to just like start dropping solo shit and like get in the way of that. Once I did start dropping solo stuff, I was honestly surprised at how many people, like I feel like most people that know who I am really don't know shit about North Kingsley. Which is not how I expected it to go. I really thought people that were going to listen to me were only going to be because of North Kingsley. But I really do credit seeing everything behind the scenes, how we rolled songs out, who we worked with, who we didn't work with, publicist, management, like all that kind of stuff. I totally credit that with me being able to figure out how to put out music and have people listen to it, because I saw firsthand how someone in fucking System of a Down puts out music. You know what I mean? Which is like not the experience a lot of people are going to have. Like anyone else, you know, the majority of people putting out music are never going to see behind the scenes of something like that. I do credit that for sure with figuring it out. So it's looking like, I guess, probably sometime next year, because it's the end of the year this year. Probably sometime next year, the North Kingsley album will drop, and it's super cool. It's a lot of fun. Like we got like Cypress Hill's on it, Scott Storch is on it. It's crazy stuff. But it's so weird to think about too, because again, like anyone who knows, I'm now in a weird position where I feel like so many more people listen to my solo music than know me from North Kingsley. So it's like I start doing North Kingsley, people are going to be like, what the fuck is this? Like, this is so different than what we're expecting from you, you know?
Right.
That's an interesting situation.
North Kingsley is going to be the Ray Hawthorne side project.
that's how it feels right now, for sure. That's how it feels. But yeah,
Right.
no, I love it. I'm super proud of all that stuff. And Shav's a great dude. So yeah, it's a very surprise connection I made in my life, you know?
Mm-hmm. But that's cool that North Kingsley is still around. And again, like you said, you know, working with Kellin and Shavo, those are two really good people to have in your corner for sure. I'm sure you've learned a ton.
Oh, absolutely.
Do you have any advice to young artists and up and coming artists?
Oh yeah, for sure. I just think just fucking do it and like get out of your own way. I think the only thing that got me where I am now, and look, I'm not saying I'm any kind of big artist or anything, but people do listen. I put out music and people listen to it. You know what I mean? And for a lot of artists, like that's what people want. You know, like that's the dream. Like, are people going to hear this song that I'm recording? And like, at least I know when I'm recording a song, people are going to hear it. And that's only because at a certain point, I just fucking got out of my own way and tried as much as I could to check my ego. Like I spent so much time, especially when I was younger, just being like, everything needs to be perfect. This needs to be different than everything I've ever heard. Like it needs to be amazing. And all you're doing is like delaying your project. And maybe you don't even put it out at that point. Like just fucking put it out, see what people think about it. They don't like it. Fine. Keep going. Just keep fucking going. That's all you can do. You know what I mean? It's like, I've been doing music my whole life. It's only been in the last 4 years that I've made money off it. You know, like you just have to keep going. And I could have quit any number of times when I was younger, you know, but and I wish I could. Like I've said people, like if I could do anything else and be happy, I would fucking do it. Like this shit is like, it is not, it's like soul crushing at times. You know what I mean? But like this is the only thing that I really love. I wish I could just like go to school and get a good fucking job with like a 401k, but it's like I know I'm gonna hate it. So like this is the only thing I love, so I'm just gonna keep doing it. And I just think anything that anyone's doing, I think this applies even not to music. Like it's just like just get out of your own way and just fucking do it. And there needs to also be a situation of like, let's say, because I've had to confront this before too, where it's like I'll put out a song that like I like, but I don't necessarily think, oh, this is going to be big or anything. And then all of a sudden people love it. And I'm just like, what the fuck happened there? And like, you just have to like take stock of like, okay, well, the people aren't wrong. Like I was the one that was wrong, you know? And like, why was that? And you have to like listen to feedback from people. Like at the end of the day, your music is a fucking product. Like you're trying to sell people on, you know, your product. And like, you need to get people to come back. Like I don't even remember where I heard this before, but it's like, if the only people listening to your music are listening to it like because they're your friends and they like you as a person, that's not fucking good. Like no one's out buying Lucky Charms because like the guy who makes Lucky Charms is the fucking homie. You know what I mean? Like they're buying Lucky Charms because they fucking like Lucky Charms. Like your music is a product. So it just needs to be that way, you know? And that's I don't think I could phrase it better than that. You know?
No, that's great
I
advice.
love it. Yeah, that's really, really good advice. As an artist working in multiple genres,
Yeah.
what legacy do you hope to leave?
I would love at some point at the end of the day for people to be able to be like, wow, that guy did make a lot of different kinds of music. Like I know I joke a lot about how I'm making like very mid pop punk and like cliche pop punk and stuff, but like I would love for people to be like, wow, like that guy's actually a good songwriter in a lot of different ways. I would love to be able to work as a songwriter in general, like pop songs, country songs, any kind of thing. Like I would love to be able to do that. And if people ever do connect the dots, because it's not like I like promote North Kingsley really on my solo stuff, and it's not like North Kingsley promotes my solo stuff. So those are kind of separate worlds. But I think if more people were aware that I was doing at least even just those two things, I think people would be surprised. And I can only hope that people would recognize that one day, and that I could do things in different genres well enough that it would be worth noting, like, he did this and he did this, and isn't that surprising? I would love that, but worst case, I'm just gonna go down mid-ass pop punk. I'm cool with that, you know.
That'd make a sick T-shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
That's an awesome image to have.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
I think
New
that would
merch
be fun.
idea.
Last question. What are plugs? Social media, any projects, like social media
Oh
where we can
yeah,
find you, all of the above.
I do need to do more social media. That's one thing I don't do enough of. But if you go to rayhawthornesucks.com, all my shit's there. So you can check my Instagram, my Spotify. You can pre-order my vinyl, all that stuff. So buy some shirts. Everything's on rayhawthornesucks.com.
That's awesome. We'll make sure to put everything in the description, all your socials, the website.
Cool.
We're
Cool.
excited for the new album. Comes out right before my
Thanks, man.
birthday. Right before my birthday, which is
Nice.
sick. Um, but yeah, we're looking forward to it, and thank you so much for coming on today.
Yeah, of
Thanks
course.
for
This was
talking.
Yeah.
fun. Yeah, yeah,
Thank you so
absolutely.
much.
Yeah, I'll come
All
back
right,
whenever.
we appreciate it. We'll take advantage of that for sure.